Commander Zek 749 stared at the warning lights that filled his ship's control room. Red lights blinked everywhere. The computer made loud beeping sounds that hurt his ears. His ship was falling apart around him, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. 3 days ago, everything had been normal. Zex was doing his job as a scout for the Galactic Survey Course. He flew alone through space, looking for new planets that nobody had found before. It was quiet work, but he liked it. Most of the time, he only saw empty space and dead rocks floating in the darkness. But then his ship's hyperdrive had broken. The hyperdrive was the most important part of his ship. It let him travel faster. Then light, jumping from one star system to another in just a few hours. Without it, he was stuck. Even worse, the broken hyperdrive was making his ship shake and spark. Pieces of metal were falling from the ceiling dot. Now he was falling toward a planet that orbited a small yellow star. The planet was blue and green, with white clouds swirling around it. It looked like it might have water and air that he could breathe. That was good news. The bad news was that his ship was moving too fast, and he couldn't slow down enough to land safely. The ship's computer spoke to him in a calm voice, even though everything was going wrong. Hull temperature rising. Structural damage detected. Recommend immediate evacuation. I can't evacuate, Zex said through his teeth. We're still in space. He gripped the control stick with both hands. His knuckles were white from squeezing. So hard. The ship was shaking so much that he could barely see the control panel. Through the front window, he could see the planet getting bigger and bigger. The blue parts were definitely water. Huge oceans covered most of the planet's surface. At least there's water, he said to himself. Water is better than land for crashing. The ship hit the planet's atmosphere like a rock thrown into a pond. The front of the ship began to glow bright orange from the heat. The metal walls around him creaked and groaned. More pieces fell from the ceiling, and one of them hit him on the shoulder. Zex could see the ground now. There were brown and green areas that looked like continents. He could see rivers that looked like silver lines from so high up. There were white patches that might be cities or clouds. He hoped they were clouds. The ship was moving so fast that everything outside was a blur. The computer kept talking, but he couldn't understand the words anymore. All he could hear was the sound of wind rushing past and metal breaking apart. He aimed for what looked like a large body of water near the edge of a continent. If he was going to crash, water would be safer than land. At least he probably wouldn't hurt anyone on the ground. The ship hit the water like a giant stone. It bounced once, twice, 3 times across the surface. Each time it hit the water, Zex was thrown against his seat. His safety belt kept him from flying around the cabin, but it felt like someone was hitting him with a hammer. Finally, the ship stopped bouncing and started sliding across the water. It slowed down gradually, leaving a long trail of white foam. Behind it, Zex could hear water splashing against the sides of the ship. Steam rose from the hot metal as cold water touched it. When everything was quiet, Zex sat still for a moment. He was alive. His body hurt in many places, but nothing seemed to be broken. He looked around the control room. Most of the lights were off now. The computer was silent. Thin streams of water were starting to drip through cracks in the walls. Pressed a button on his chest, and his biosuit came to life. The suit was like a second skin that covered his whole body. It would protect him from dangerous air or water. It also had tools that would help him survive on strange planets. The biosuit tested the air outside the ship. After a few seconds, a small screen on his arm showed the results. The air was safe to breathe. It had oxygen, just like the air on his home planet. The gravity was a little stronger than he was used to, but not too bad. Zex opened the ship's door and stepped outside. His feet splashed in shallow water that came up to his knees. The ship had come to rest near a beach. He could see sand and rocks not far away. Behind the beach, there were green hills with trees on them. The water was clear and blue. Small fish swam around his feet, apparently not afraid of him. The sun was warm on his face. If he had been on vacation, this would have been a beautiful place to visit, but he was not on vacation. He was stranded on a planet that was not on any of his maps. His ship was broken, and he had no way to call for help. His radio was not strong enough to reach other star systems. He walked around his ship, looking at the damage. The hull was cracked in many places. The hyperdrive was completely destroyed. Even if he could fix the other problems, he would never be able to leave this planet without a new hyperdrive dot. As he stood there thinking about what to do next, he noticed something moving on the beach. There were creatures there, standing upright on two legs. They were about the same size as him, but they looked different. Their skin was pale or dark, and they had hair on their heads. The creatures were watching him. They didn't look afraid, which surprised him. Most primitive species ran away when they saw something they had never seen before. These creatures just stood there, looking curious. One of them started walking toward him. It was a male with dark hair and clothes that looked like they were made from plant fibers. He walked slowly, with his hands where Zex could see them. When he got close, he opened his mouth and made sounds. Zex's biosuit translated the sounds into words he could understand. "Hey, are you okay?" The creature was asking about his health. That was strange. Why would a primitive being care about a stranger from another world? More creatures were coming toward him now. One wore a white coat, like scientists wore on civilized planets. Another had a uniform that looked almost military. They all seemed more curious than frightened. Zex realized he was about to make first contact with a new species. He had been trained for this, but he had never expected it to happen after crashing on their planet. Usually, first contact was planned, carefully, with diplomats and scientists and lots of preparation. But there was no time for preparation now. The creatures were here, and they were clearly intelligent. They wanted to help him. All he could do was follow the rules he had learned and hope for the best. He raised his hands to show he was not carrying any weapons. Then he spoke slowly and clearly, hoping his biosuit would translate his words into their language. "I am not from this world," he said. "My ship is broken. I need help." The creature with dark hair smiled. "Don't worry," he said. "We'll take care of you." The creature with dark hair walked closer to Zex. He moved slowly and kept his hands where Zex could see them. His face showed kindness, not fear or anger. When he spoke, his voice was calm and gentle. "My name is Jake," the creature said. "I was fishing when I saw your ship crash." "Are you hurt?" Zex was surprised by how normal this felt. Jake acted like meeting aliens was something that happened every day. Most primitive species would be screaming or running away by now. Instead, Jake seemed worried about Zex's health. "I am not badly hurt," Zex replied. His biosuit translated his words into the local language. "But my ship is broken. I cannot leave this planet." The creature in the white coat came forward. She was a female with long black hair tied back. Her coat had tools in the pockets that looked like scientific instruments. She studied Zex with intelligent eyes. "I'm Dr. Lisa Chun," she said. "I work at the Marine Research Station up the coast. That's quite a ship you have there." The hull material looks like some kind of advanced ceramic composite. Zex's biosuit almost couldn't translate her words. She was using scientific terms that should not exist on a primitive planet. Words like ceramic composite suggested these beings knew about advanced materials science. The third creature wore a dark blue uniform with metal badges on it. He had a radio in his hand and was speaking into it in low tones. Zex heard him say, Words like Pentagon and medical team. He did not know what these words meant, but they sounded important. "I'm Officer Pete Williams, Coast Guard," the uniformed creature said. "We're going to get you some help. Can you walk?" Zex nodded. His legs were shaky, but he could move. "I can walk, but I do not understand. Are you not afraid of me?" "I am not from your world." Jake laughed. It was a warm, friendly sound. "Afraid? Why would we be afraid? You crashed into our ocean, and the first thing you did was ask for help. You don't seem very dangerous." Dr. Chun was walking around Zex's ship, taking pictures with a small device. She was examining the hull damage and making notes. Her behavior was not what Zex expected from a primitive being. She acted like a trained scientist studying advanced technology. "The propulsion system is fascinating," she said to Officer Williams. "Look at these exhaust ports. The metal hasn't just melted from heat. It's been restructured at the molecular level. That suggests some kind of controlled fusion reaction." Zex felt a chill run down his spine. Dr. Chun was describing his ships. Engines with perfect accuracy. She understood technology that most species took thousands of years to develop. How could beings on an uncharted planet know about controlled fusion? Officer Williams finished talking on his radio and walked over to Zex. "We've got a medical team coming to check you out. They'll be here in about 20 minutes. In the meantime, we should get you somewhere more comfortable." Jake offered Zex a container of water. "You look thirsty. This is fresh water from our supply boat." Zex's biosuit analyzed the water and found it safe to drink. The liquid was clean and pure, better than the recycled water on his ship. He drank gratefully and felt some of his strength return. "Thank you," he said. "You are very kind to a stranger." "It's what anyone would do," Jake replied. "Besides, this is pretty exciting. We don't get many visitors from off-world." "The way," Jake said, "off-world," made Zex pause. It was a term used by space-traveling species to describe other planets. Primitive beings usually said things like the sky or the heavens. They did not have words for other worlds. Dr. Chun came back from examining the ship. Her face showed excitement and curiosity. "The energy readings are off the charts," she said. "Even with the reactor shut down, there's still exotic matter in the drive system. This is incredible technology." "Exotic matter?" Zex asked. "You know about exotic matter?" "Of course," Dr. Chun replied. "It's basic physics. You need exotic matter with negative energy density to create stable wormholes for faster-than-light travel. Though I've never seen it used in such a compact design." Zex's mind reeled. Exotic matter was one of the most advanced concepts in galactic science. Only a few species in the entire galaxy had learned to work with it. These beings should not even know it existed. A new sound reached them from the beach. Zex looked up and saw flying machines approaching. They were sleek and fast, but they moved in a way that seemed familiar. As they got closer, he realized they were using anti-gravity technology. "Those are our helicopters," Officer Williams explained. "The medical team is here." But Zex could see that these were not primitive flying machines. They hovered in the air without making the noise that combustion engines would make. They used the same principles as aircraft on advanced worlds. The flying machines landed on the beach. People in white uniforms got out, carrying medical equipment. One of them, a woman with gray hair, came straight to Zex. "I'm Dr. Amy Rodriguez," she said. "I'm a xenobiologist. That means I study life forms from other planets. We're here to help you." The word xenobiologist hit Zex like a physical blow. Only species that had met other life forms would have such a word. Only civilizations that traveled between stars would need people who studied alien biology. Dr. Rodriguez was scanning Zex with a handheld device. The device beeped and showed readings on a small screen. "Your vital signs look stable," she said. "But I'd like to run some more detailed tests back at the facility. We want to make sure you're not suffering from any internal injuries." "What facility?" Zex asked. "The Oceanic Research Institute," Dr. Chun replied. "It's about 30 miles. Up the coast. We have full medical facilities there, and the equipment to help you repair your ship." Zex felt like his world was spinning. These beings had facilities that could help repair spacecraft. They talked about other planets like they were familiar with them. They used scientific terms that most species did not learn for centuries. "I do not understand," he said. "Your planet is not in our database. You should not know about space travel or alien life forms." "How do you know these things?" The humans looked at each other. Jake smiled and scratched his head. "Well, that's a bit of a long story. Maybe we should talk about it on the way to the facility." Officer Williams helped Zex toward one of the aircraft. "The truth is, we've been part of the galactic community. For a while now, we just keep our home planet pretty quiet. Most species don't know where we really come from." As they walked across the sand, Zex tried to process what he was hearing. These beings were already part of the galactic community. They were not primitive at all. They had been hiding their true nature from the rest of the galaxy. "But why?" he asked. "Why hide your home planet?" Dr. Rodriguez looked at him with kind eyes. "Because sometimes it's better to be underestimated," she said. "People make assumptions about you based on where you come from. If they think you're from some distant colony, they don't expect as much from you. It gives us room to work," Jake added. "We can learn from other species without them thinking we're trying to compete with them." Zex climbed into the aircraft, still trying to understand what was happening. The interior was clean and comfortable, with seats that adjusted to his body automatically. The control panel showed displays that he recognized from advanced spacecraft DOT as the aircraft lifted off. He looked down at his broken ship on the beach. It seemed so small now, just a piece of metal on the sand. But it had brought him to a world that was nothing like what he had expected. Through the window, he could see the coastline stretching out below them. There were cities in the distance, with tall buildings and lights that twinkled like stars. Ships moved through the water, leaving white trails behind them. "Welcome to Earth," Dr. Chun said, sitting beside him. "We're going to take good care of you." Earth. The name meant nothing to Zex, but something about it made him nervous. He had a feeling that he was about to learn something that would change everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. The aircraft flew over the ocean for almost an hour. Zex watched the water pass by below them, thinking about everything that had happened. The more he saw of these beings, the more confused he became. They were not primitive at all. They had technology that rivaled anything in the galaxy. The research facility appeared ahead of them like a small city floating on the water. White buildings rose from artificial islands connected by bridges. Ships and smaller aircraft moved. Between the structures, everything looked clean and modern. "This is the Oceanic Research Institute," Dr. Chun explained as they approached. "We study marine life and ocean systems, but we also have facilities for other kinds of research." The aircraft landed on a platform that extended from one of the buildings. As they got out, Zex could see people working on the docks below. They wore different kinds of uniforms and carried various pieces of equipment. Some of the equipment looked familiar to him. Dr. Rodriguez led them into the main building. The hallways were wide and bright, with windows that looked out over the ocean. Everything was very clean and organized. Signs on the walls were written in several different languages, including some that Zex recognized from other planets. "We'll start with a basic medical examination," Dr. Rodriguez said. "Then we can talk about your ship and what you need to get home." They entered a room that made Zex stop and stare. and medical equipment was more advanced than anything he had seen outside of major galactic hospitals. Scanners, analyzers, and healing devices lined the walls. A large screen showed star charts and biological data. "Please sit here," Dr. Rodriguez said, pointing to an examination table. "This won't hurt at all." She activated a scanning device that looked exactly like equipment used by the medical corps on advanced worlds. The scanner hummed as it moved around Zex's body, taking readings. Data appeared on the screen in formats that he recognized. "Your cellular structure is very interesting," said a new voice. Zex turned to see another human entering the room. This one was a male with light brown hair and kind eyes. "I'm Dr. Steve Parker, Chief of Xenobiology." The word xenobiology still made Zex uncomfortable. Only species that had met many alien life forms would have entire departments devoted to studying them. Dr. Parker studied the scan results. "Your physiology is similar to the Altarians we met a few years ago. The bone density is higher, and your muscle fibers are more efficient. Your species probably evolved on a world with stronger gravity." Zex felt his blood turn cold. "You know about Altarians?" "Of course," Dr. Parker replied. "They're good people. We've had several cultural exchange programs with them. Their poetry is quite beautiful, though it's hard to translate properly." The room seemed to spin around Zex. Altarians lived on the far side of the galaxy. They were an ancient species with technology that most civilizations could only dream of. If these humans knew about Altarians, if they had cultural exchanges with them, and double quotes, "Where exactly am I?" Zex asked, his voice shaking. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her equipment. "You're on Earth, in the Pacific Ocean region. Though I suspect you might know this planet by a different name." "Earth," Zex whispered. He activated his biosuit's database and searched for the name. What he found made his legs weak. He had to sit down on the examination table. "Earth, Sol 3, third planet from the star, designated Sol in galactic charts. Home world of the species, known as Terrans or humans." The database continued with information that made Zex's head spin. Humans achieved faster-than-light travel approximately 50 Earth years ago. First contact with galactic civilization occurred 47 years ago. Humans are known for rapid technological advancement and diplomatic skills. They are considered a major power in galactic politics. "You're Terrans," Zex said, looking at the humans around him. "You're the humans everyone talks about." Dr. Parker smiled. "That's right. Though we prefer to just call ourselves humans. Terrans sounds a bit formal, don't you think?" Zex tried to stand, but found his legs too shaky. The humans he had heard about were legendary. In just 50 years, they had gone from being unknown to being one of the most important species in the galaxy. Other species spoke of them with respect, and sometimes fear. "But how?" Zex asked. "How did you advance so quickly? Most species take thousands of years to develop interstellar travel." Dr. Chun sat down beside him. "We're curious," she said simply. "When we met our first alien visitors, we didn't just trade with them or fight with them. We learned from them. We asked questions about everything." "Most species are very proud of their own technology," Dr. Parker added. "They think their way of doing things is the only right way. Humans are different. We're always looking for better ways to do things." Dr. Rodriguez showed Zex a display screen. "This is our current fleet," she said. The screen showed images of spacecraft that looked like nothing Zex had ever seen. They combined design elements from dozens of different species. "We take the best ideas from everyone we meet," Dr. Rodriguez explained. "Altarian engine designs, Zephyrian power systems, Rigelian navigation computers. We put them together in new ways." "But that's not all," Dr. Chun said. We also improve on what we learn. The Altarians taught us about quantum drives, but we figured out how to make them 30% more efficient. Zex stared at the ship designs. Each one was more advanced than his survey vessel. Some of them looked like they could outrun military ships from the most advanced civilizations. Why doesn't the galaxy know about this? He asked. Why don't other species know how powerful you are? Dr. Parker laughed. Oh, they know. At least the important ones do. We have treaties with most of the major powers. We're members of the Galactic Council. But we don't advertise our whole world, Dr. Chon added. Most species think we're from some distant colony. They don't realize that all of our technology development happens here on Earth. A new person entered the room. This one wore a military uniform with insignia that Zex didn't recognize. He was tall and had gray hair, and he carried himself like a soldier. I'm Colonel Mike Thompson, Earth Space Command, he said. We've been monitoring your ship's distress signals for the past 3 days. We were prepared to send a rescue mission if you hadn't found your way here. Space Command? Zex asked. You have a space military? We have to, Colonel Thompson replied. Space is a dangerous place. There are pirates, hostile species, and sometimes misunderstandings between civilizations. We've learned to be prepared. Doctor. Rodriguez finished her scans and showed the results to Colonel Thompson. He's in good health, she said. No serious injuries from the crash. His species seems very resilient. That's good, Colonel Thompson said, because we need to talk about your ship. The Survey Corps has been looking for you. Zex felt a new wave of worry. The Survey Corps knows I'm here? They know you're missing, Colonel Thompson explained. They sent a message to Earth Space Command asking if we'd seen any sign of you. We told them we'd keep an eye out. Standard procedure, Dr. Parker added. When someone goes missing in this region of space, the various governments coordinate search efforts. Zex realized that his arrival on Earth was not a secret. The humans had already contacted his superiors. They were handling the situation like experienced diplomats. What will happen to me? He asked. Colonel Thompson sat down across from him. That depends on what you want to do. We can repair your ship and send you home if you'd like. Or you can stay here for a while and learn about our world. The choice is yours. Many visitors choose to stay for a few weeks, Dr. Chun said. Earth is a beautiful planet, and we have a lot to show you. Zex looked around the room at the humans who had helped him. They were not primitive beings who had accidentally developed advanced technology. They were members of a civilization that had become one of the most important powers in the galaxy, and they were offering to help him, even though he was just a lost scout pilot. I would like to stay, he said. I want to learn about your world. I want to understand how you became so advanced so quickly. Dr. Parker smiled. Excellent. We'd be happy to show you around. But first, let's get you something to eat. You must be hungry after your ordeal. As they left the medical room, Zex felt like he was stepping into a new chapter of his life. He had crashed on what he thought was a primitive world, but he had actually landed on the home planet of one of the galaxy's most remarkable species. He was about to learn secrets that would change everything he thought he knew about civilization, technology, and the future of the galaxy itself. The next few days changed everything Zex thought he knew about the galaxy. The humans showed him around their facility, and each room held new surprises. They had laboratories where scientists from different species worked together on projects. That seemed impossible. In one lab, Zex met Dr. Tony Martinez, a human engineer who was working on a new type of spaceship engine. The engine combined technology from 6 different alien species, but it was smaller and more powerful than anything Zex had seen. The trick is not to copy what other species do, Tony explained as he showed Zex the engine designs. We study how Each technology works, and we figure out how to make it better. The engine used Altarian quantum crystals, but the humans had found a way to grow the crystals in a different shape that made them more efficient. They used Zephyrian power coupling systems, but they had changed the metal alloy to handle more energy. Most species are proud of their technology, Tony continued. They think their way is the only right way. But we know that every species has something to teach us. Zex watched Tony work on the engine. His hands moved with skill and confidence. He understood the alien technology better than most aliens. How did you learn all this? Practice, Tony said with a smile. When we first met the Altarians, we asked them to teach us everything. They were surprised because most species just want to trade for finished products. We wanted to understand how everything worked. In another lab, Zex met Captain Sarah Kim from the Earth Space Fleet. She was working on star charts that showed shipping routes between hundreds of star systems. Some of the routes were marked in different colors. The blue lines are human trade routes, Sarah explained. The red lines are routes controlled by other species. The green lines are neutral zones where anyone can travel. Zex studied the charts. Human trade routes connected systems across the entire galaxy. How do you have so many trade agreements? We're good at making friends, Sarah said. When we meet a new species, we don't try to conquer them or compete with them. We ask what they need and what they can offer. Then we find ways to help each other. She showed him a list of trade agreements on her computer. Humans traded food with species that lived on desert worlds. They traded technology with species that had raw materials but no manufacturing. They traded art and music with species that valued culture. The secret is that we don't try to be better than everyone else, Sarah continued. We try to be useful to everyone else. When you're useful, people want to be your friend. Colonel Thompson took Zex to see the hidden shipyard beneath the ocean. The facility was enormous, with docks that could hold spacecraft the size of small cities. Dozens of ships were under construction, each one different from the others. We build custom ships for different purposes, Colonel Thompson explained. Some are for exploration, some for trade, some for defense. Each one uses the best technology available. They walked through the construction area. Workers from several different species were building the ships together. Zex saw humans working alongside Altarians, Zephyrians, and other species he recognized. They come here to learn our techniques, Colonel Thompson said, and we learn from them. It's a good arrangement for everyone. One of the ships was nearly finished. It was sleek and beautiful, with curved lines that reminded Zex of artwork. But he could see that it was also heavily armored. This one is for the Galactic Patrol, Colonel Thompson said. They needed a ship that could catch pirates in the Outer Rim. Our design is faster than anything the pirates have. But how do you know what the pirates have? Zex asked. Colonel Thompson smiled. We sold ships to some of them, too. It's complicated, but it works out. The pirates get ships that are fast enough to escape from most patrol vessels. The patrol gets ships that are fast enough to catch pirates. Everyone is happy. Zex stared at him. You sell ships to criminals? We sell ships to anyone who can pay for them, Colonel Thompson replied. But we make sure the good guys always have better ships than the bad guys. It's a delicate balance. That evening, Zex had dinner with Dr. Frank Wilson, who ran the facilities research division. Dr. Wilson was older than the other humans, with white hair and glasses that made his eyes look larger. You seem troubled, Dr. Wilson said as they ate. Are you having trouble understanding our methods? Zex poked at his food. The humans had prepared dishes from his home world, somehow knowing exactly what he liked to eat. I don't understand how you do it, he said. How do you stay ahead of species that have been traveling in space for thousands of years? Dr. Wilson set down his fork. It's not about staying ahead, he said. It's about staying flexible. Most old species have traditions, but they follow. They do things the same way their ancestors did, because that's what worked before. But what worked before might not work now, Zex said. Exactly, Dr. Wilson replied. The galaxy is always changing. New threats appear. New opportunities arise. Species that can adapt quickly have advantages over species that move slowly. He showed Zex a tablet computer with news from across the galaxy. 2 months ago, pirates started using a new kind of shield technology. The Galactic Patrol's weapons couldn't get through it. Other species would have spent years developing new weapons to counter the shields. What did humans do? Zex asked. We bought one of the pirate ships, Dr. Wilson said with a grin. We studied the shield technology for 3 weeks. Then we designed new weapons that could penetrate it. The Galactic Patrol had working prototypes within a month. Zex shook his head. That's impossible. You can't develop new weapons that quickly. We can if we don't start from scratch, Dr. Wilson explained. We had weapons that were almost powerful enough. We just needed to modify them slightly. Instead of building something completely new, we improved something that already existed. The next day, Zex met with Director Helen Brooks, who was in charge of Earth's relations with other species. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a quick smile. We've been expecting someone like you to show up eventually, she said as they sat in her office. Scout ships from the Survey Corps pass through this region regularly. We knew one would. Have problems sooner or later. You were watching us? Zex asked. We watch everyone, Director Brooks replied. Not to spy on them, but to be ready to help if they need it. Space is dangerous. Ships break down. People get lost. We like to be prepared. She showed him a map of local space. Dots marked the locations of human ships and monitoring stations. We have rescue vessels positioned throughout this region. If anyone sends a distress signal, we can reach them within hours. Why? Zex asked. Why do you help everyone? Because someday we might need help too, Director Brooks said. The species that help others are the ones that get help when they need it. It's good policy. She brought up files on her computer. We've rescued 17 ships this year. Traders, explorers, even a few military vessels. Word gets around. People know that if they have problems in human space, we'll help them. And they remember that, Zex said, beginning to understand. They remember, Director Brooks agreed. When we need something, they're usually willing to help us in return. It's not about keeping score. It's about building relationships. That night, Zex sat in his guest room and thought about everything he had learned. The humans were not just another species that had learned to travel in space. They were something new in the galaxy. Most species developed their own technology and then tried to protect it from others. Humans shared their technology freely, but they also improved on everything they learned from other species. Most species made enemies of anyone who was different from them. Humans made friends with everyone they met and used those friendships to learn new things. Most species were proud of their traditions and unwilling to change. Humans changed constantly, always looking for better ways to do things. Through his window, Zex could see the lights of human cities on the horizon. Ships moved through the water below, carrying goods and people between the floating research stations. Aircraft flew overhead, their lights blinking in the darkness. It was a busy, active world. People were always working on something new, always learning something different, always trying to improve their lives and the lives of others. Zex realized that he was witnessing the birth of something that had never existed before in the galaxy. A species that could adapt to anything, learn from anyone, and make friends with everyone. The humans were not just another civilization. They were the future of galactic society. And he was the first member of the Survey Corps to see it happening. After 2 weeks on Earth, Zex stood in the repair bay, watching human engineers work on his ship. They had not just fixed the damage from his crash. They had improved everything. His ship was now faster, stronger, and more efficient than it had. Tony Martinez wiped his hands on a cloth and smiled at Zex. "We upgraded your hyperdrive," he explained, pointing to the new engine components. "It's based on your original design, but we made some changes. You should be able to travel about 40% faster than before." Zex ran his hand along this smooth metal of his ship's hull. The humans had repaired all the cracks and made the weak spots stronger. They had also added new systems that he didn't recognize. Small devices were attached to different parts of the ship. "What are these?" he asked, pointing to the small devices. "Emergency beacons," Tony replied. "If your ship has problems again, they will automatically send out a call for help. Any human ship in the area will come to rescue you." Captain Sarah. Kim walked over to join them. She pointed to a new panel inside the ship. "This is a communication system. You can now talk directly to Earth Space Command from anywhere in the galaxy. If you need anything, just call us." Zex shook his head in wonder. "You are giving me all this technology for free?" "It's not exactly free," Colonel Thompson said as he approached. "You are going to do something for us in return." Zex felt worried for a moment. "What do you want me to do?" "Tell the truth," Director Helen Brooks said as she joined the group. "When you go back to the survey course, tell them what you saw here. Tell them about Earth and what humans are really like." "But why?" Zex asked. "Don't you want to keep your abilities secret?" Dr. Frank Wilson laughed. "We don't have any secrets. Everything we do, we learned from other species. We just put the pieces together in new ways." Director Brooks nodded. "The truth is, we want other species to know what we can do. We want them to know that we are good friends to have and dangerous enemies to make. We want them to know that we help people who help us." Zex understood now. The humans were sending a message. Through him. They were showing the galaxy that they were not just another new species trying to find their place. They were a power that others should respect. "There's something else," Colonel Thompson said. He handed Zex a small crystal that glowed with inner light. "We want you to give this to your commanders." "What is it?" Zex asked, holding the crystal carefully. "Maps," Sarah Kim replied. "Star charts showing safe routes through human space. Trade agreements we are willing to make with the survey corps. Information about pirate activity in this area. And an invitation." Director Brooks added, "We would like to have formal relations with the survey corps. We think we could help each other." Zex put the crystal in a safe place in his ship. He realized that the humans had planned this from the moment he crashed. On their planet, they had helped him and shown him their world to gain his trust. Now they were using him to carry their message to the rest of the galaxy. But he didn't mind. Everything they had shown him was real. The humans really were as advanced as they claimed. They really did help other species. They really were changing how the galaxy worked. "I will tell them everything," he promised. "I will make sure they understand what humans can do." Dr. Wilson handed him a bag filled with small packages. "Food for your journey," he said, "and some gifts for your friends back home. Human chocolate is very popular with most species." As Zex prepared to leave, Jake Morrison appeared in the repair bay. He was the fisherman who had first found Zex on the beach. But now he wore a clean uniform instead of his fishing clothes. "I wanted to say goodbye," Jake said. "I hope you have a safe trip home." "Thank you," Zex replied. "But I thought you were a fisherman." Jake smiled. "I am. But I'm also a lieutenant in the Earth Space Patrol. We all have more than one job here. I fish when I'm not on patrol duty." Zex realized that even Jake, the simple fisherman who had helped him, was part of Earth's military. The humans had been watching and protecting him from the very beginning. "One more thing," Director Brooks said. She handed him a tablet computer. "We have prepared a report for you to take back. It explains our history and our goals. It also has some ideas for how the Survey Corps could work with us." The tablet felt heavy in Zex's hands. "This has information about human technology and culture. Everything your commanders will want to know about us," she confirmed. "Our military strength, our trade capabilities, our diplomatic policies. We want them to have complete information." Zex secured the tablet in his ship and turned to look at all the humans who had helped him. They had been kind and generous. They had shared their knowledge freely. They had improved his ship and given him gifts, but he knew they had also been studying him. They had been learning about his species and preparing him to carry their message back to his people. "Why did you really help me?" he asked. "Because it was the right thing to do," Dr. Wilson replied simply. "But also because we knew you would tell others about us. We wanted to make sure you had good things to say." "Most species try to impress visitors with their weapons," Colonel Thompson added. "We prefer to impress them with our kindness. Fear makes enemies. Kindness makes friends." Zex climbed into his ship and started the engines. The new hyperdrive made a smooth, humming sound. All his instruments showed perfect readings. The humans had done excellent work. As he lifted off from the platform, he could see the entire research facility below him. Ships moved between the floating buildings like busy insects. Aircraft flew in neat formations overhead. In the distance, the lights of human cities sparkled on the horizon. It was a world full of activity and progress. A world where different species worked together on projects that helped everyone. A world where technology advanced quickly because people shared knowledge instead of hiding it. The hyperdrive started up, and Earth disappeared in a flash of bright light. Zex was alone in space again, heading toward Survey Corps' headquarters. But he carried with him memories of the most amazing world he had ever seen. During the long journey through hyperspace, Zex began writing his report. He would tell his commanders about human technology and military power. He would explain their methods of diplomacy and trade. He would describe their approach to science and engineering. But most importantly, he would tell them about human character, about a species that helped strangers without asking for anything back, about people who shared their knowledge freely and worked to make the galaxy better for everyone. He would tell them that humans were not just another species trying to survive in a dangerous universe. They were something new and special, something that could change the way all species dealt with each other. The Survey Corps would not believe him at first. They would think Zex had been fooled by clever lies. But when they studied the evidence he brought back, when they tested the improvements to his ship, when they read the detailed reports about human abilities, they would understand. The humans had joined the galactic community not as conquerors or competitors, but as partners. They offered friendship to those who wanted it and showed strength to those who demanded it. They were changing galactic civilization simply by being themselves. And Zex had been the first member of the Survey Corps to see it happening. His ship came out of hyperspace near Survey Corps' headquarters. The huge space station filled his view screen. Like a small moon. He was home, but he would never see the galaxy the same way again. He had crashed on Earth, thinking it was a primitive world. He was leaving it knowing that he had visited the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. A civilization that was quietly changing everything they touched. The humans were not just another species in the galactic community. They were the future of that community. And the universe would never be the same because of them. As he flew toward the docking bay, Zex felt excited. He had an incredible story to tell. And he had a feeling that once his commanders heard it, the relationship between humans and the rest of the galaxy would change forever. The age of humanity had begun, and Zex had been there to witness its dawn.